Why do so many freelancers use platforms like Upwork and Fiverr? Well, it's like the answer Willie Sutton gave when he was asked why he robs banks, because that's where the money is. Freelancers go to Upwork and Fiverr because that's where there are the most clients actively looking for freelancers. Now, I made a video a couple months ago about why freelancers should never use these platforms, and I actually got a lot of pushback from freelancers telling me all the reasons I was wrong. So by now, I've seen dozens of screenshots from people making $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 even from different types of projects on those platforms. I've heard from other people that these platforms make their lives so much easier than trying to do everything on their own. So I'm revising my original statement. It's not that freelancers should never use platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. If you're willing to work more than full-time hours, you might be able to get your income up to $100,000 or $150,000 even. But if you want to earn truly top-of-the-pile fees and not have to work 50+ hours a week, you absolutely have to get off those freelancing platforms ASAP. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to transition from the freelancing hamster wheel to true high-income freelancing. First, my name is Henry Bingaman. When I started out as a freelancer in 2008, it was so frustrating that I almost quit. Then I discovered the secrets and systems that make high-income freelancing possible, and eventually I worked my way up to become one of the most in-demand freelancers in my industry. Today, I make videos like these to help freelancers boost their incomes and enjoy their work more. So because I already made the never use Upwork or Fiverr video, let me start this one by acknowledging some of the benefits of these platforms. First things first, the reason so many freelancers use them is because there are a ton of clients with extremely high intent hanging out there, which means if you can get on there and you can learn to write a decent profile and a good proposal, you're gonna get some work. Using these platforms gives you the absolute fastest sales cycle you'll find pretty much anywhere as a freelancer. Now, sales cycle is just the business term for how long it takes you from meeting a client to getting an agreement for work. On Upwork and Fiverr, your sales cycle is basically just a few days long. If you're meeting potential clients at a networking event or on LinkedIn or through referrals, your sales cycle is gonna be at least a couple weeks, if not a few months. Sometimes it can even be longer than a year. The other great benefit of these platforms is that they take care of so many of the details for you. There are the standard agreements, they have the escrow features to make sure you're getting paid, and you don't have to worry about file management or pretty much any other real business tool. They're all part of those platforms. So I can clearly see the appeal there. Once you get the hang of actually pitching and landing gigs, you can keep yourself incredibly busy just using those platforms. However, there's the problem of the golden handcuffs. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Back in 2010, I had a client in the financial publishing space. I got a gig with them for $1,500 a month, and my job was to write a new headline and lead for their promotion every week. Now, then I was a single 25-year-old guy, so that one client alone paid my rent and most of my groceries. Remember, we've had 14 years of inflation since then, so $1,500 in 2010 is the equivalent of $2,200 today. But that gig took up a lot of my time every single week. Now, it was guaranteed income and I didn't want to give it up, but it also took up so much of my time that it stopped me from going out and finding higher paying clients. Now, my friend Marcella Allison, another great freelancer, described this client as my golden handcuffs. See, it was an okay gig, but at the end of the day, it was actually holding my career back. It wasn't until I dropped that client that I could move on to bigger and better clients. So I eventually made the hard choice to fire that client, which it hurt a lot at first, I'm not gonna lie. But within a year, I was making $5,700 a month, then $7,500 a month, then $10,000, then $15,000, and then I started getting performance bonuses and my income shot through the stratosphere from there. Well, here's the thing, Upwork and Fiverr are the same type of golden handcuffs. It's easy, it's convenient, and it can pay the bills to be on those platforms. Hell, it can even pay more than traditional jobs once you really start getting the hang of it. But if you want to enter the ranks of the truly high-income freelancers, you're gonna have to break out of those golden handcuffs sooner or later. Why? Well, I made a whole video about this, so you can go watch that one if you want. But I'll summarize a couple of the problems. First, it's because you're bidding on the same jobs against other freelancers. That means one of the factors is you're competing on price. Now look, if you bid on a job at $500 an hour, and they're comparing that to a bunch of people bidding $25 to $50 an hour, you're just fighting gravity. There's a concept in marketing called anchoring. If you constantly show that the value of a product you're selling is $500, and similar things like that cost $500, then you happen to offer to them for $50, well, the price of $500 is the anchor in the buyer's mind. So all of a sudden, that $50 sounds like a screaming good deal. But anchoring works the other way too. If a client gets a bunch of bids at $50, then you ask for $500, all of a sudden that price just sounds extremely expensive. Now, it can work for you if you prove why you're providing 10 times more value than those other people, and that's possible to do on those sites. But since most of the clients on the freelancing platforms are competing on price, you're gonna sound more expensive than you otherwise would, and it's just friction in the sales process. Now, the second thing that really bugs me about the freelancing platforms is how much of a commission they take. Depending on the type of job, they can steal 10 to 20% of the project fee. That means if you got a $1,000 project, you're really only getting $800 to $900 for the work. Now, I know there are freelancers who pay referrals to other freelancers who introduce them to a new client, and that can be as much as 15% of their earnings on that initial initial project. But the point of paying that referral fee is that you've been giving a warm introduction to the client, which makes it far, far easier to close the deal. There's no way you'd agree to pay a referral fee like that if the deal was, all right, I'm gonna throw you up against 1,000 other freelancers, all competing on price, all begging for this client's attention, and then whoever wins out of those people, not the 999 losers, but the one winner, gives me 20% of what they earn. But the main problem is, just by being on Upwork and Fiverr, you put yourself in a less than optimal position in the client's head. These platforms are sites where businesses find vendors. Vendors are order takers. In other words, the client has a project, they have an idea of what or how they want you to do that project, so they tell you what to do and they just expect you to do it. You're just filling the order. And now, if you're just getting started as a freelancer, that's not a terrible place to be. It's actually good to have some instruction from the clients. But the ideal positioning for a freelancer is being a strategic partner. A strategic partner is not just an order taker. You're a partner in the business. The clients want your insights. They want your guidance on how your project can fit into the bigger business goals that they have. And it's nearly impossible for freelancers to establish that positioning on a site like Upwork or Fiverr. The context there is just all wrong, which is why the highest income freelancers always establish reputations outside of those networks. Now, why are freelancers so hesitant to jump ship from those freelance platforms? Well, one major reason is that the sales cycle out in the wider world, as I mentioned earlier, is just so much longer. That's because you're not just a vendor anymore. You have a real B2B business. So instead of closing clients in under a week like you do on those platforms, you really have to nurture your leads for a much longer time, usually a month or two at least, but possibly as long as a year. The benefit of that is, after you nurture the client that long, the fee is much, much higher, usually double or triple what you can get on the freelance platforms. Now, on top of that, when you go out on your own, you have to manage everything yourself, from contracts to invoicing to communications. The fact is, it's easier for clients to not pay you because you're typically not doing an escrow type deal like they do on those sites. Plus, on top of that, you're responsible for all the bookkeeping and reporting. What I'm saying is there's a lot more work involved. So a lot of freelancers think, why bother? Why would I give up all this helpful assistance that I'm getting from these sites? Well, the fact is you can literally double or triple your income, sometimes even better. You get to position yourself as a full partner with your client, and that opens up a much higher pay scale. Plus, it allows you to unlock opportunities like pay for performance or commissions or royalties or any bonus structure deal. Now, when you get to that level, there's really no cap on your income. Look, I know a dozen or so freelancers who have made it to over 7 figures in annual income. I've done it myself, and none of them spend any time on Upwork or any of those sites like that. They're positioned as top experts demanding top prices. And frankly, the type of clients they work with would never consider going on Upwork or Fiverr. They're looking for top-tier talent. You just don't expect to find that on those platforms. All right, so what do you need in place to get off the freelance platforms? Well, first thing you have to keep in mind is you don't have to jump ship right away or all at once. You can start slowly, adding 1 or 2 clients outside of the platforms until you're fully ready to branch out on your own. Now, to get to that stage, there are 3 basic systems you need to have set up. First, you need a client acquisition system. This is a regular, repeatable system that brings in leads and turns them into paying clients. Then, you need a client management system. This is how you're going to communicate with the clients and keep them happy with you so they keep on hiring you and they keep on paying you the big bucks long into the future. And then finally, you need a system for invoicing and getting paid. Now, there are more than just these 3 systems, but just establishing these 3 systems will get you started. None of these are really hard to set up. They're not that complicated. It just takes a little bit of forethought and strategic thinking. And of course, you also need the right tools, which is why I want to give you the 5 free tools that make even brand new freelancers look like seasoned pros. These are tools that will cost you absolutely nothing, but will have your freelance business cruising behind the scenes so you can pick up bigger and better clients. You can get those at henrybing.co/free tools, and of course, the link is in the description. All right, catch you in the next one.